Houston, their defensive schemes were giving Tennessee trouble early, which is why they built that 9-4, 15-4 lead. But when they were up 9-3 at one point and Tennessee couldn't buy a field goal, the Vols defense was still in the game. Jawan Roberts, their skilled big man who averages 11 points a game, 6 rebounds a game, who was a force down low, got into foul trouble. He picked up his second foul and went to the bench. Kelvin Sampson brought in Terrence Arsenault at that point. Terrence Arsenault was playing at the 4, but he's much more of an athlete. He's 6'6", 205 pounds, and more of a stretch 4. Did Jawan Roberts' foul trouble for Houston actually hurt Tennessee even more? I think it might have. And we're going to play 4 downs on this, and you guys let me know what you think, but we are going to play 4 downs. So here's why I say Jawan Roberts' foul trouble actually cost Tennessee. When Houston's defense was giving Tennessee fits, particularly with their perimeter zone where the length was able to take away the paint, and also they were around coming off screens. At that point, Tennessee would have wanted to run tempo, because while Tennessee is one of the slower paced teams in college basketball outside of the top 300, just like Houston, they can turn it up and turn up the athleticism when they need to. They have Zakai Ziegler, for heaven's sake. Jemai Mashak was wildly athletic. So what they would have done, and you saw this, Barnes dialed up the press. He started dialing up the press. He started playing really tough defense, trap defense on the perimeter to try to deny the paint. I think it was working a little bit. And also when they would get rebounds, Tennessee would run out in transition. Once Terrence Arsenault came into the game, though, Houston had 4 guards with size. This is why they only turned it over 5 times on the day. Every time Tennessee seemed to get a fast break and try to run, Houston got back in time, because they had 4 athletes on the court and they weren't playing big. This is also what got in Tennessee's head, which is why you saw a couple of fast breaks where they had a 4-on-2, pulled back to slow it down. They had a 3-on-2 at one point, and Zakai Ziegler had a path to the basket. Kate Phillips was to his left, and Chaz Lanier was on the other side. 2 Houston defenders were between Phillips and Lanier, and Ziegler dumped it off to Phillips, which was a mistake. And then they had multiple times where they had other fast break numbers, and they pulled back and played half-court ball, which was not conducive to their style. Why was that? I firmly believe with Jawan Roberts on the bench and Terrence Arsenault in there, the athleticism of Houston was dialed up a notch and took away Tennessee's transition game. More importantly, Arsenault hit 2 threes during that time and scored 8 straight points at one point, which helped Houston take real control of the game, which is what led to Tennessee's lack of composure even more as they were missing open looks. So, the foul trouble, honestly, is, I think, something that hurt Tennessee in this game. And I'm going to go, we got 40 votes. I'm going to close out this poll question. Did Tennessee just have a bad shooting game, or did Houston's defense calls it? 68% say Vols just shot poorly. 32% say Houston's defense caused it. I'm going to ask this question. Did Jawan Roberts' early foul trouble, actually help Houston? Yes or no? And we're going to play 4 downs because we're going to go through a little bit of history here. Because this ain't the first time in a big game, in a postseason matchup, that a Tennessee Vols program has had to prepare for a certain level of personnel that it wasn't prepared to face because of a player going out. And let's just go ahead and break those down right now. I don't have the 4 downs elements, but let's just play 4 downs. We're going to start with 2000. Tennessee basketball in 2000, the last time this happened, was playing North Carolina. This was not your grandfather's North Carolina team, not your father's North Carolina team. North Carolina was an 8 seed, and in the period between Dean Smith and Rory Williams. Tennessee was a 4 seed with Tony Harris, Jerry Green as the head coach, Isaiah Victor, Charles Hathaway, CJ Black. I mean, just name after name. Vincent Yarbrough, Ron Slay, Marcus Hazlett, John Higgins, just loaded with talent. Tennessee was the favorite. They were the 4 seed. They were in a region where the 1, 2, and 3 seeds all got knocked out. So they had a clear path to the Final Four. This was a Sweet 16 game, and they built a 9-point lead on North Carolina in the second half. North Carolina got in foul trouble and brought in Julius Peppers. Yes, that Julius Peppers. And what happened? Tennessee couldn't buy a rebound on Julius Peppers. with Julius Peppers in there and allowed North Carolina to get back in that game. And North Carolina came back and won 74-69 because of Peppers was rebounding underneath the basket and Jerry Green's inability to adjust. Surprise, surprise. That was 2000. About a year later, 2001, football, the SEC championship. Tennessee was playing an LSU team that is not this current LSU team, okay? This was a mediocre program that was on the rise under Nick Saban, but wasn't great. LSU had finished the regular season 8-3. Tennessee finished 10-1, was number 2, going to play for the national championship, had just beaten second-ranked Florida on the road in Steve Spurrier's last home game. The same LSU team they blew out, they were dominating in the first half. They were up 17-7. LeBrandon Tofield goes down. Rohan Davey goes down. Rohan Davey was the quarterback. Hidden in that first half was the only touchdown LSU had was a drive that Rohan Davey missed, and Matt Malk went in and scored a touchdown. Rohan Davey goes down. Matt Malk comes in for the whole second half. Tennessee is not prepared for it because Rohan Davey's a pocket passer, and Matt Malk was a quarterback draw quarterback. Couldn't even throw the ball. Okay, it was just a threat with the draw, almost like Tim Tebow without the ability to pass. And Tennessee, unprepared, loses to LSU 31-20. 6 years later, Tennessee's playing LSU again in the SEC championship. They're preparing for Matt Flynn. The week of, Matt Flynn is out. Ryan Perrilloux comes in. And Tennessee can't defend Ryan Perrilloux. And Les Miles, to his credit, just throws in an option offense. And Ryan Perrilloux ends up leading LSU to a 21-14 win over Tennessee, largely because Eric Gaines threw 2 fourth-quarter interceptions that were devastating. And then came this Houston game. Jawan Roberts gets into foul trouble. And Terrence Arceneaux comes in, and that takes away what Tennessee is able to do. And I think that takes Tennessee out of their element. Does Tennessee have the worst luck with teams that get in foul trouble and against them and then better teams come in? Because it certainly seems like that. Or am I just high? Well, let's find out, because portions of the program are brought to you by Hemp House, the premier hemp dispensary online with a wide variety, great selection, and strict standards. Hemp House Chat with 2Ts.com. Hemp House Chat with 2Ts.com. Use the promo code HOOKED for 10% off. You guys tell me. Am I reaching here? Or am I suggesting that Tennessee gets bad breaks when the other team loses players they planned to rely on and Tennessee hadn't adjusted? So it's Derek is accusing me, saying Caleb reminding Tennessee fans why we're a bitter fan base. Yes, I'm sorry. Sorry to bring out the history of this, guys, but that's just how it goes. Ben brings up, and this is a good point, it really doesn't change much if we're shooting as poorly as we were. They would have used their size to accelerate the lead if they weren't in foul trouble. But you see, Ben, I don't think that Tennessee's poor shooting would have been as much of a factor, because I think what would have happened is at the 10-minute mark, Tennessee would have turned up the tempo and played transition more. And once they played transition and got a few buckets that way, then they probably would have started to feel themselves and get more composure and be able to shoot well from 3 and get the spacing they needed. Now, they got the spacing they needed from 3, but they couldn't get the transition buckets in the final 10 minutes of the first half. So they stayed significantly behind. I don't think my contention is this, and I'm making this argument. I don't think Tennessee shoots as poorly if they don't get so far behind early, because they didn't get behind because they shot poorly. They got behind early because they didn't get good looks. And that's a credit to Houston's defense. So I think if they get that far behind, though, and then they're able to turn up transition and get a few buckets and make it closer, I think they actually start to shoot better in the final 10 minutes of the first half. So there's a lot that goes on here. This is where Jawan Roberts' foul trouble could have been a bit of an issue. So you guys let me know that. I mean, maybe I'm crazy. Maybe I'm just reaching on here, but I think there is some truth to this matter. First, we're going to talk a little bit about this a little more in a second, but first, a quick message from Double D Piping.
Double D Piping provides full-service fire protection on any scale. From residential homes to government facilities, we can assist any customer through design, fabrication, installation, inspection, and demonstration of fire suppression systems. With 30 years of service across 5 states and a full staff with over 40 years experience, our quality can't be beaten. Don't get caught watching what you could have prevented. Call Double D Piping, the absolute best in.
Welcome back to the program. Obviously, people are all over the place with their disagreements with me. I think it's fair to nail this down to Tennessee shooting poorly yesterday. in their Elite Eight loss to Houston, what I'm trying to hammer down is why they shot poorly. I don't think it's just an off-day shooting. I think there were some other things that went into play, particularly with the way Houston plays. Pseudo Sham says it just spiraled out of control. I agree. And Ben comes in and says, give credit to Houston. They took all the confidence away from everyone early, and it just spiraled out of control. You guys are right, though. I mean, that's my thing. I think the reason Tennessee's poor shooting happened is because of the way things transpired within the first 9 minutes, in which at that point things just completely spiraled out of control for Tennessee. And the more it spiraled, the worse they played. This happens in basketball all the time. If you're spiraling, you start to lose your form. It's kind of a mental game with you shooting. I mean, think about it like with kickers in football. They miss one easy kick, and it just kind of, they become terrible after that. Mike Vanderjack. Yesterday, Jemai Mashak, a 75% free throw shooter, missing 2 free throws at the start of the game, finishing 0 of 5 from the free throw line, spiraling. Think about golf. I mean, how often have you heard of players at the top of their game, but some mental thing messes them up, and then they never recover? Tiger Woods. I mean, Tiger Woods was on track to shatter the career record for Majors won, and then the whole scandal breaks with him in 2009 with his ex-wife and all the women that he had on the side, and the humiliation of that leads to him performing horribly for like a solid 10 years. And yeah, there were health issues and things like that, but the other part is his mind just wasn't clear. So I think sometimes we underrate how you can spiral and then you just have a bad performance where you're not efficient. So Timothy McGee says, from what I saw, Houston wasn't playing better. Our shots didn't land. Timothy, I think you're focused on the second 10 minutes of the first half, though. Don't forget that the first 10 minutes of the first half, Houston was in everybody's grill when Tennessee tried to shoot. And Ben says it's what Florida did to us early in the year, 100% the same situation. Ben, you're right. And this was the thing with Florida. Florida was so big and athletic, they could do that. They could come around the screens. They could test every shot. And Tennessee had trouble. Even in the game Tennessee beat Florida, by the way, where they won by 20. Tennessee didn't play that great offensively in that game. Florida was just historically bad on their side of the ball offensively. So I just think that there were a lot of issues. I think Tennessee wanted to turn up the transition game. I think that was the way out of this. That was always the way out of this with Houston, was turn up the tempo, play transition basketball. It was hard to play transition basketball once Juwan Roberts went to the bench. Houston was more athletic. So I think that's the way this ended up playing out. And I think we have to be fair and understand that this is how absolutely Tennessee ended up losing this game. As far as the poll question goes, did Juwan Roberts' foul trouble early actually help Houston? 36% say yes, 64% say no. I think most of you guys, and I understand, I think it was just a bad shooting night, but I think there were some major issues going on throughout. So look, it was a rough way to end the season, no doubt, but it is what it is.